James Shelby here, owner of the Shelby Sold real estate team here in the Temecula Murrieta Valley. And in this video today, we're going to be asking a question. Are you overpaying to be living in Temecula and Murrieta? Stay tuned, we're going to answer that question right now. If you are thinking about moving to the Murrieta Temecula area in 30 days, 60 days, or even a year from now, don't hesitate to reach out. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people buy and sell real estate throughout the area, and all my contact information is the link below. And it would really help me out if you would like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It would help the algorithm there, the almighty YouTube algorithm. That would help out a lot. So without further ado, are you overpaying to live in Temecula Murrieta? First and foremost, let's talk about the market and what it's been over the last 2 years. We've seen over the entire United States, almost the world for that matter, a crazy housing boom. Prices have been going up at rapid pace. And what you've seen in a lot of areas, especially ones that are experiencing a lot of growth like we have in Temecula Murrieta, even in some of the other states, Texas, Arizona, Idaho, for example, you've seen a lot of people over the last couple of years that have been searching for a home, found a home they like. There's 10, 15, 20 other offers, and a lot of times the buyer is having to pay $10, $20, $30, $40,000 over the list price. I've heard as much as $100,000 over the list price to secure that property. So we have seen this crazy housing boom over the last couple of years. Temecula Murrieta has really been no different. In fact, it's been one of the largest growing areas in Southern California. There's a great website called How Money Walks, and it will show you where people are moving throughout the United States. And in Riverside County has actually been one of the biggest growing counties in all of California. You look at San Diego County, you look at LA County, you're gonna see a lot of money moving out of there. But when it comes to Riverside County, we're seeing an influx of people moving in. So what was happening, like I said, over the last couple of years is people were having to bid over the list price to secure properties. And something that came along with that was when it was time, you know, if they were buying a home and they had bid $50,000 to purchase that home, $50,000 over the list price, a lot of times what was happening is the homes that had sold within the last 30 days or 60 days or 90 days were lower than the price that the buyer was paying. And so they weren't coming in, the appraisals for those properties were not coming in at the value that they needed to come in at. And so what was happening was buyers were having to come out of their pocket to make up that difference because there was such a high demand. They wanted to secure the property and go through with the sale. They had to come out of pocket and pay the difference. It could be $10, $15, $20,000 difference in the appraisal between the appraised price and the purchase price. And a lot of times buyers started to feel like they were overpaying for the home. So fast forward to today, we are now in 2022. We're midway through, almost a little over midway through the year. And we are not quite seeing what we were seeing 6 months ago or even a year ago when it comes to bidding wars and the housing market. Even here locally in Temecula Murrieta, we have seen things cool down quite a bit. Now, does that mean that you might not run into a situation where there's multiple offers on a home? That's still happening occasionally, but for the most part, we're seeing a couple different things. We're seeing longer days on market, and then we're also seeing on homes that are maybe on the market for 30 days or more, we're starting to see price reductions, which is something we haven't seen in a long time. Now, I pulled up some statistics because Temecula Murrieta is a really nice area, a lot of things to do, great community, great schools, low on crime. These are all things that you can look up on your own time. You'll see the statistics to back up what I'm saying. So how does Temecula Murrieta area compare to San Diego County? How does it compare to LA County? How does it compare to Orange County when it comes to purchasing a home? If you're moving from another state and you're moving into California and you're trying to decide where to live based on maybe affordability, how does Temecula Murrieta stack up to these? Or let's say maybe you live in Orange County, maybe you live in LA, maybe you live in San Diego County and you're trying to decide if it makes sense to move to the Temecula Murrieta area. I've got some interesting statistics for you as of where we sit today. So these are adjusted from 6 months ago, right? So we're looking at just today's statistics. We're not going back 6 months, we're not going back a year, we're looking at August of 2022. What do things look like? So if you are gonna move from San Diego, what is the median home price in San Diego? Right now it's at $929,000 is the median price for a home in San Diego. List price rather. The median sold price is about $877,000. So you can see that the list price versus the sales price is adjusted a little bit, things slowing down in that area as well. Still very high, median list price $929,000 in San Diego County. Let's talk about Orange County. Let's say you're thinking about maybe moving to Orange County or you currently live there. The average median list price, $1.1 million in Orange County. Average list price, $1.1 million in Orange County. Now compare that to the average sales price in Orange County, which is hovering around $967,000. Quite a big chunk of change if you're coming from another state or maybe you're coming from another area in California. Orange County's up there at the top of the list of some of the most expensive areas in Southern California. What about Los Angeles County? Well, average list price is hovering right around $1 million and the average sold price is right around $948,000. So again, Los Angeles, about $1 million average list price, average sold price right around $948,000. All right, so now let's compare and contrast that to Murrieta, Temecula. So we'll start with a little bit more expensive area, which is gonna be Temecula. I have another video, you can reference it here, Murrieta versus Temecula, if you're kind of wondering what the difference is between those two cities. They're right next to each other. I currently live in Temecula, but I'm almost right there on the border of Temecula and Murrieta. Check out that video if you need to learn a little bit more about the difference between the two cities. We're just gonna go over the difference in price. As of right now, August 2022, the Temecula median list price is sitting around $769,000 with a sales price of $740,000. So you can see quite a bit difference between Orange County, you're about $300,000 higher there. LA County, you're about roughly $300,000 higher there on average. And then you've got San Diego County where you're gonna be sitting about $250,000 higher on average for a home versus Temecula, which is really the higher price area between Temecula and Murrieta. So affordability, you know, when it comes to affordability, San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, you're gonna find that Temecula Murrieta is gonna be quite a bit more affordable when you're comparing it to these other areas. Now let's talk about Murrieta. So Murrieta has an average list price right now of $688,000. So your average list price hanging around $688,000. Murrieta's got an average sales price right now of $650,000. So very interesting. If you look at all these areas, the list price right now in August 2022 versus the sales price, you're seeing that there's a little bit of a difference there now, where 6 months or a year ago, that list price versus sales price, a lot more people were paying above list price than they are right now. So how do you know? How do you know if you're overpaying to be in an area? You know, that's a really hard question to answer, but let's take a look at it this way. I always tell my clients, if you're moving into an area and you're gonna be purchasing a home and you plan on being there for at least 3 to 5 years, the number one thing you really need to consider is, can you afford your mortgage? And if you're planning on being there for 3, 5, 10 years, is your mortgage gonna be be the same or maybe just slightly higher than what it would cost you to rent. Because let's face it, let's say you're moving into an area where the average rent is $3,000 a month for an average home. You're gonna be paying roughly $36,000 a year in rent. If you're staying there for 2, 3 years, 4 years, and you're renting that entire time, you could be at $100,000, $150,000, depending on how long you stay there, that you've paid in rent, as opposed to purchasing your home where the money that you're paying for your mortgage is going in to pay down your principal. And if things have gone on the trajectory that we've seen them, there's going to be at least an average appreciation over the years of, you know, maybe 3 to 5% increase in your home's value. Now, is there a guarantee that your home is always going to go up forever and it can never come down? No. Obviously, there's the ebb and flow of real estate markets, and things can adjust. But I've always given the advice that if you can afford the mortgage and you're gonna be there for at least 3, 5, 10 years, it makes sense to go ahead and purchase the home, invest in yourself, invest in your family. Whereas with renting, you know, you're at the mercy of your landlord. And same goes for landlords. Sometimes they decide to sell. So even if you're in a year lease, when that's up, you might have to go and live somewhere else. You might have to, you know, the landlord says, hey, we're gonna sell the house. Now you're in a tough spot and you gotta find another rental and hope that rents haven't increased since you last went to look for a rental. The other thing I always tell people to look at, especially in a market like right now, you know, it's a little tougher the last 6 months or a year because everything was selling above the list price. But now that we've gone back to a more normal market where there's a longer average days on market, where there's a little bit of more negotiation between the buyer and the seller doesn't have all of the power like they did, you know, 6 months ago. What I always say to look at is the recently sold comps. You couldn't do this, like I said, 6 months ago. We touched on it earlier. Everything was selling so far above the list price that the sold comps didn't really matter. But now it's very important to look at the sold comps in that area within the last 30 or 60 days to see what the trend is. And obviously, if you're working with a professional like myself, that's something I'm going to help you analyze. That's something I'm going to do for you, and then we can discuss these together. But it's important to look at what has sold recently that's similar to the home that you're looking for. How long did it take those homes to sell? And were they selling at the list price? Were they selling slightly below? Were they selling above? And that's going to give you a good indication to know, okay, if I'm going to be offering something on this home, am I going to be overpaying at whatever I'm offering? Now, granted, each home is taken case by case. I mean, there are certain types of homes that are more rare or harder to find. I mean, let's say you're looking for a home and it has to be a single story, it has to have a pool, it has to be on a half acre, it has to have RV parking. The more boxes that you have to check, the more rare the home is to find, then obviously you're probably gonna find a little bit more competition. But if you're just looking for an average home, you're not super picky, it doesn't have to fit all these certain criterias, then you're going to be able to probably get a better chance to find that home at a fair market value price, especially as we sit here in the current market here in 2022, about midway through the year. All right, so I hope that helps. I'm going to keep making videos like this for anyone that either currently lives in the Murrieta Temecula area or is thinking about moving out here. You guys know how to find me. All my information is below. You can follow me on Instagram. You can call me direct. Whatever you need, if you have questions about the area, like I said, whether you're thinking about moving here in 30, 60, 90 days or a year from now, don't hesitate to reach out. Me and my team are always here to help answer any of the questions you have. And if you could, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna keep giving you a bunch of great content to keep you educated about not only the things that are going on in the economy and the housing market as a whole, but primarily and more specifically the Temecula and Murrieta Valley. If that stuff interests you, keep tuning in, and we'll see you next time.